Hey designers, let's create this coffee product animation in After Effects. Let's get started. So I have taken a 1920 by 1080 composition. First import the coffee beans here. These are the transparent PNGs of coffee beans. Let's import it, drag and drop it onto the timeline. And let's first of all scale them down. Press S for scale and let's make them a bit smaller. Now adjust the positions of them individually. After that, select all of them and press Ctrl D to duplicate them. Put all of them above like this. We need to fill this composition with lots of coffee beans. Okay, after you have adjusted the positions of these coffee beans, once again we are going to select all of the layers and press Ctrl D to duplicate them. Then we will move the duplicated layers on top like this. Once this is done, again we will reposition the coffee beans and we'll fill all this composition with coffee beans. I'm going to make this process a bit faster so that it won't waste your time. Once it is done, we will rotate few coffee beans, to make them look like that their directions are different and not look like that one direction is repeated. After that, we will add a camera here. So go to Layer, New Camera. Select all the layers and make them 3D. Let's make more space here for work and change it from one view to two views and make it top. Now this is the top view of all the coffee beans and you can see here that all of the coffee beans are on the same level if we see from the camera. And if we move it like this, all of them are moving. I'll select them one by one from here and change their Z position. Few beans will be placed forward and few backward. Okay, now we will adjust the X and Y positions on this active camera one to make them visually pleasing. The corners and edges were empty, while in the center, there were a lot of beans, so I'll adjust them. Okay, I've adjusted the X positions of it. After that, select all the coffee beans layers and press Ctrl plus D to duplicate them. Then move the duplicated layers above, like this. Okay, These are all the duplicated layers that are selected. So we'll select the Z-axis of it and move them upwards, like this. My PC has gone slower, so that's why it's moving with these glitches. Let's move them a bit downwards. It has gone too much upward. Okay, this is perfect. Now, we'll animate the position of the camera. So select this camera layer, press P for position. Click on the stopwatch near the position, and move the bar indicator to 4 seconds. Now, move the Z-axis of this camera like this on the 4-second frame. We'll move it all the way upwards to the point where all the coffee beans have gone. Let's see the animation now. Select both of these keyframes and press F9 to ease them. Now we will import the coffee PNG. So right-click here, go to Import, File, and select this coffee bottle. This is the transparent PNG of a coffee bottle. Let's import it, drag and drop it onto the timeline. Make the coffee bottle 3D. We will reposition it all the way backwards like this. It is going to appear on the screen after all the coffee beans have left the frame. It would be the last thing that would appear. Now it has come too close to the camera. The reason is, if we see here on the last frame, you can see this line. So let's move the camera position on the 4-second frame a bit downwards like this. We only want the coffee bottle at this point in the camera. So we will move all the coffee beans from here. Let's move their Z position, or either move their X position so that they go on the other side. Let's select all of them and move their Z position downwards. Then we'll select these two, move their Z position downwards. And I think these three are left. So first of all, select this, move their Z position downwards, and do the same with all the others. Let's move its axis. Okay, now we are left with only the coffee bottle, so let's play the animation. Okay, good. Apply rotation to it as well. So select this camera layer, press R for rotation. Click on the stopwatch near the Z rotation and press Shift plus P to have the position keyframe here as well. Now move to the second frame. Change the Z rotation. Select this coffee bottle and adjust its Z rotation. And let's scale it down a bit. Let's see the animation now. Okay, now we will apply the blur effect to it. So let's select this camera layer and go to its properties, close the transform properties, and go to the camera options. Here, if the depth of field is off, turn it on. Now increase the aperture and focus distance. First of all, increase the aperture. After increasing the aperture, you'll see the coffee beans that are backward have gone blurred. Now we will adjust the focus distance as well. This focus distance line is not visible right now because these lines are on top of each other. So once we start moving the focus distance, you're going to see this white line moving on this right side top display. This white line is the focus distance line. Let's adjust the focus distance. Let's increase the blur level as well. Once you are satisfied with the settings, close all these camera options, and let's see the animation. Okay, now select this camera, press U to see the keyframes. Select both of these keyframes, and press F9 to ease them, to make them move more smoothly. Okay, now we are done with this, so select all of these layers and pre-compose them. The shortcut to pre-composing them is Shift plus Ctrl plus C on your keyboard. Okay, let's see the animation here once more. Okay, cool. Now at this point where the coffee bottle comes on the screen, we will trim the layer by pressing Alt and right square bracket. Then we will drag and drop this coffee PNG from the project to the timeline again and adjust its rotation and scale similar to the one in the back. So adjust its rotation. Then press S for scale and scale it up to make it the same as the coffee bottle below it. Move the bar indicator to the point where we had trimmed this pre-composed layer. On this point, we will trim this coffee PNG from the start. The shortcut for it is Alt and left square bracket. We will trim it from the start like this. Now press P for position. Click on the stopwatch near to position. Also, press Shift plus R for rotation and click on the stopwatch near to rotation as well. Now move a few frames forward. I will move 20 frames forward and make it go on the right. Its rotation was -11, so we are going to make it 11. Now let's see the animation. Okay, select all of these keyframes and press F9 to ease them. At this point, we will import the cup PNG here. Import the cup PNG now. Let's import it, drag and drop it onto the timeline, and adjust its position. Also, trim this layer from the start to this point. We'll use animation opacity to smoothly introduce this cup onto the screen. Select this cup layer, press T for opacity. Click on the stopwatch near to opacity. Move a few frames forward and add a blank keyframe here. Now move back to the first frame and make its opacity 0. Let's see. Adjust the cup scale. Now at this point, we will also add text here. So take the text tool and write your text here. Select this, now, text and change its font to a curly font. Also, change the color of this, now, from white to something yellow. Adjust the size, spacing and color of this text. We will also trim this text layer from the start by pressing Alt and left square bracket. Let's change this color to a brighter one. Apply the text animation on this layer. Select this Wake Up Now text layer, go to Effects and Presets. Animation Presets, go to Text, and here you'll select Blur. In the blur, there's an effect called Evaporate. Select your text layer and double-click on this Evaporate layer to apply this Evaporate text effect on it. Okay, so the text is going to get evaporated here, but we do not want it. We want it to come on the screen with this evaporation effect. So we will reverse this effect by pressing U on the keyboard to see the keyframes. Then select both of these keyframes. Right-click, select Keyframe Assistance, and then select Time Reverse Keyframe. Okay, good. Let's add smoke here as well. So at this point, we will import the smoke video. Go to Project, right-click, Import File, and select the smoke video. Import it. Drag and drop it onto the timeline. Let's scale it down first. Change its blending mode from normal to screen. Now move the smoke on top of this cup like this and adjust the position of the smoke. Then press T for opacity and decrease the opacity of the smoke layer. Now adjust the position as required. Also, trim the smoke layer from the start by pressing Alt and left square bracket. We will also add opacity animation from the start of this smoke layer. So press T for opacity. Click on the stopwatch near to opacity. Now move the bar to the frame where the opacity layer starts and make the opacity 0. We will import the background. Drag and drop it onto the timeline. Let's scale it up and press T for opacity and lower its opacity to maybe 20%. Now, the last step is to select these coffee beans from this project and drag and drop them onto the timeline. Scale them down. And then adjust their position on this composition. I will fast forward this process a bit to save time. Then we will rotate a few beans if required. Okay, after the placement and rotation is done, we will add a camera layer here. So, go to Layer, New, and select Camera. Select all of these coffee beans layers and make them 3D. Now select all of these coffee beans layers, press P for position, and individually change their Z position. We will also adjust its X position after changing the Z position to make it come to its original position where it was placed, and do the same with the others. We are adjusting their Z position because we will make some of them blur with the help of the same camera thing. All of them should be different because few of them will be blurred and few of them won't be. Once it's done, select this camera, go to its properties, then camera options, make sure the depth of field is turned on, and now adjust their focus distance and aperture. You will see that some of these coffee beans have gone blurred. Now adjust the settings to your own liking. The top left corner bean has gone blurred. I want it to be visible, so I will change its Z value. After adjusting the Z value, I will also change its X and Y to make it come to its original position where it was placed. After that, select all of these coffee beans layers and also trim them from the start at this point by pressing Alt and left square bracket. Now press R for rotation. Now click on the stopwatch near to the Z rotation. Move a few frames forward. Change the Z rotation. Let's see now. All of them are moving clockwise, which is looking a bit weird. So we will make a few of them rotate anti-clockwise. What we are going to do is just change the values. For instance, this is 76, I'm going to make it -76 so that it moves anti-clockwise. Okay, so after this, our animation is complete. Let's have a look at it. One thing I think needs to be changed is the placement of this coffee bean. Let's move it to the left because it is weirdly placed. And the rest is good. Our animation is done. If you found this video helpful, like it, comment on it, and for more tips and tutorials, subscribe to Ace Designs.